All right, we're recording.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Drop Third Strike with myself, Terry Gant in Chicago, Illinois, and my podcast partner, Beth Davy-Stofka in Denver, Colorado.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. How much snow did you get this week, Beth?
Huh?
How much snow did you get this week?
Probably about 9 inches, but not all at once.
I'm just gonna ask until there's an answer of no snow.
Yeah, well,
I feel so bad.
I'll be able to say that. So we got 7 inches. I can't see. The problem is I don't remember what days it snowed.
You got 7. Well, there was definitely 7 inches that happened right before our last podcast.
Yeah. Well, and then we get so then that happened again. No, maybe not. Maybe that was the last 7 inches, and then we only got more like 4 inches this week. I know it snowed a lot more on Tuesday than they said it was going to.
Holy crap.
And then maybe it was Wednesday night or Thursday night it snowed again. And I remember telling Steve Tuesday, so it would have been Wednesday morning, we made the national baseball headlines because we always do. Every time it's a cold start in Denver, then they talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think game time on Tuesday, I'm going to guess it was Tuesday, it was 35 degrees. And they had a picture of, so the Astros were in town. They had a picture of Dusty Baker in the dugout, just like snow, just like a totally bundled up, like the way the little kids in the Peanuts cartoons would look like when their parents would send them out. You could roll them down the street.
Yeah,
that's how Dusty Baker looked. And come on, 35 is not that cold. Not when you live in Denver. 35 is
Yeah, 35. It's above freezing, so you should be even in Chicago, it's cold when it's in the 20s.
Yeah.
Right. It's miserable when it's in the teens, and don't go outside if it's a single digits or worse. Yeah. But in Chicago, you still have to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You still have to. Yeah.
We've been steadily in the 40s and with a high in the 50s for the most part for the last 2 weeks. Except we did get snow twice this week. We got just flurries, nothing that stuck. Okay. Just flurries. I'm watching the Yankees Cleveland game on MLB Network, and CC Sabathia is the pitching guest, right? And he was saying that the coldest he ever had to pitch in. No, John Smoltz. It was John Smoltz is on too, and it was Smoltz who said there was an ALCS or something he had to pitch in Cleveland where it was 35 or 34 or something at game time, and all he wanted to do was just get the hell out of there. He pitched 2 1/3 innings and was happy to just be gone. Nope, I don't want to deal with this. But CC Sabathia said that he liked pitching in cold weather because he knew hitters didn't want to hit in it. Right. So from his point of view, he would just go out there and deal with it because he felt like somebody else was less comfortable than him. And that gave him an advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it would. It would. Cleveland, man. See, the thing about the Cleveland and Chicago, too. I mean, 35 in Cleveland is 5 here. I mean, it's just, cold doesn't feel as cold here, right? Because we don't have any wet in our air. And
right. We don't have, it doesn't become heavy.
There's no lake wind either. There's not wind blowing off ice cold water.
Yeah. Do you have wind that comes down out of the mountains or something? Do you have a north wind that comes down out of the mountains or anything like that?
Well, it come down.
Your mountains are all west,
right? Because the mountains are west of us, and so they tend to guide a lot of weather patterns. Because they're high, right? You get it to peaks that are 14,000 feet. It's hard for a lot of weather to get over those peaks. And so,
how many thousand feet are you at now?
Right now, 5,280. We are truly the Mile High City.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. I'm at 600.
Yeah.
I am 600 feet above Lake Michigan right now, and I know that because Lake Michigan is 1.5 miles to my east, and I can easily walk it. And I have I use Map My Ride on my bike, and you can also use it for walking and jogging and running or whatever. And it shows you the elevations you're traveling when you're going. So when I map a ride, when I do an interesting route to go to work and I'm riding, I will put it in Map My Ride just to see the elevation changes I make. And a lot of it is the highest I'm ever at is 4 blocks east of my house. There's a street called Ridge because it was pushed up by a glacier moving, and the glacier stops right there, right? So we have Ridge Avenue, which is the highest point in the neighborhood for the most part. But then also it's where I catch my bus when I'm going to work if I'm taking the bus. But after that, everything is straight downhill towards the lake, right? for about a mile, right? And you can if I'm on my bike and I'm going down that, it feels fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not like the hill is super steep for 2 blocks. They're about a block and a half, and then it kind of levels off. comes up just slightly a little bit when you got to go under the L tracks, but then right down to the lake again. So I know I'm 615 feet, I think, above sea level, if the lake is considered sea level.
Okay, so do you then put your bike into fifth gear and stick your feet straight out and go down that?
So because I've had a few bike mishaps, I'm absolutely at like wanting to remain in control in case a door opens, a car blows a stop sign, some mom is out jogging with their kids with their earbuds in and is not paying attention to traffic. I've seen all these things.
Yep.
I trust no one when I'm on my bike. I will come down a hill. I can get a lot of speed up, but like I'm absolutely like I need my feet still on my pedals, on like to be ready to be engaged, and my hands ready to start gradually slowing me down in case of bullshit, because it will happen in Chicago.
Yeah, and you can't exactly hit the brakes when you're going downhill, right? Because you'll just wipe yourself out. You
don't want to jam on the front brake too hard.
Okay.
It's the front brake that's the problem.
Okay,
right?
got it.
You want to gradually use the back brake and front brake, but don't go front brake first. You will wipe out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't arrest your speed all at once. You
told a very funny story about a wipeout, like last season during one of last season's podcasts. You told a very funny story about a wipeout.
The lady who was kicked her door open with her foot. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm watching for all the time. More of that.
Yeah, that happens once. It's like I'm always looking out for that. Yeah. I totally wiped out me and my brother in a bicycle accident when I was a teenager. And it was weird because like I just didn't know where I was until I was already there. Yeah. It happened that fast.
When you're a kid, like as kids, we've done all kinds of wacky things to ourselves and we just bounce right back. And when you hit your 40s and 50s, it's like, nah, this stuff starts to linger. You don't want that.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah. I hit him so hard that he actually landed on his feet. He was like on his bike and I hit him on the back wheel and I hit him so hard that I just stripped the bike out from under him and he just landed standing on his feet. And he said it was like 1 minute he's like riding his bike and the next minute he's just standing on the ground and it's like, what happened? Where's my bike?
That's awesome. How was your baseball week, Beth?
My baseball week was absolutely extraordinary because I'm sure I saw games because I always have them on, right? Do you know Gerald Early? He's a scholar and professor, and you probably do know him in the sense that he featured in Ken Burns' baseball series.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Which was a while back, right? And I remember reading, he's a brilliant essayist, and I remember reading an essay by him. I think it was about minstrels, or maybe it was in the same book. I was wanting to read about minstrels and just brilliant book of essays. But there's this comment he made like so stuck in my head that even though I probably read it 10 years ago, I haven't been able to shed it. He said, he said something and he said, I think this is why white male academics like baseball so much. And I kept reading it because I didn't understand what he was talking about, but then I gave up. It didn't matter so much. But the other day, I had a game on and I thought, well, you know why academics, white male or otherwise, like baseball so much is that we can watch it while we're grading. And so grading is like the worst experience in our profession. There's nothing worse, right? I mean, grading is just a pit, but it's not ever so engrossing that you can't do something else at the same time. Baseball is perfectly balanced because I can have a game on and I can be marking up some philosophy essay, and then the crowd gives me a signal to look, or the broadcasters start, their voices elevate a bit, and boom, I'm in the game, and I'm acting like casually marking up a philosophy. It's perfect. I think that's academics. Baseball is probably very popular with us. I'm going to guess just for that very reason. So first part of the week, I am sure I had games on. I remember clearly having the Nationals on at one point, and they look really good. Josh Bell is like getting to look really good. And
I started calling them the Washington Joshes because they also have Josh Harrison, and they had good weeks.
They had good weeks, yeah.
Like the Juan Soto was on the injured list, and there's like Kyle Schwarber's not quite Kyle Schwarber yet, but Josh Harrison and Josh Bell are like making things happen out there.
They are making things happen.
That team is different.
And some of the other guys are like saying, hey, well, we're right with you. If you're going to make things happen, we're coming up behind you and we're going to run those bases. And it's cool to see.
Yeah.
And I thought about you at one point because FP was discussing Victor Robles and having a take pretty much that Victor is capable of getting very hot. And he's looking forward to that time when he gets very hot. And I thought, I wonder if he's still on Terry's bench.
He is. Well, he ends up, he's like my, the way my outfield has had to work this last couple of weeks, he's on my bench unless someone else isn't starting. Then I put Victor Robles in and just hope for the best.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But I'm not counting on Victor Robles yet because he's not hot.
Yeah. As what he said was that Robles was not spring training Robles yet. And remember, we were talking about that and how he had like a 900 on base percentage during spring training. And I was so optimistic, like, well, of course he's going to fall, but when you're that high, how low can you go? Well, pretty low, apparently. That was it's a learning lesson for me. But that says something because I thought of you, so that helps me remember it.
And I think it's this thing that's happening all over baseball too, where the rate at which players got ready for the season is different back then than it is now. Now it's like players will go 2 months in and almost be like playing themselves in the form, whereas we used to, the idea of spring training is now you got to be ready, the games count, right? And not everyone seems to be able to pull that off anymore. And I suspect it has to do with the impact of like what the tinkering in spring training is actually doing to you, right? Like in spring training, someone's saying to you, we want to try to have this different approach, or we want to try this different stance, or we want to try to, locate that like that slider inside or whatever if you're like a left-handed hitter. Some of that stuff gets into your head, and then when the season starts and you're facing live pitching, it becomes shit. Now, like I've got to try to remember that crap I was working on in spring training versus I want to just be myself.
Yeah.
It takes a couple of months for guys to get like, fuck it, let me just, okay, now it's all clicking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And while you're also thinking about like COVID, or you're thinking about like, why the hell are we playing in 40-degree weather? Like it was in Chicago, I think every damn Cubs opening day was a cold day, but now it's not just a cold day. Now it's a cold day where we're waiting for June. Right? Like it's not the same anymore. And that's what it's come down to. It's become like, holy man, everyone is working through a thing, and you start to see them all pull out of it, like at roughly about the same time. I've made so many damn moves dropping and picking up people in the first 3 weeks of the season, that more than I probably ever made, because everyone's cold and I don't have the patience to like, it'd be fine for so-and-so. Nope, I ain't got time for that. I'm trying to win games.
Because when we talked last Sunday, you were the one that gave me patience because I was saying this and that and the other. And you're like, hey.
I'm on my third catcher this week. I dropped Gary Sanchez. I picked up the catcher for Victor Narvaez, Omar Narvaez for the Brewers, and now I'm on Kelly. I'm on Carson Kelly for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm on my third catcher in a week, and I thought, how the hell did I do this before? What it is that I know catchers have to have days off because some pitchers have their special catcher, right? So everyone's doing aces with their special catchers and bullshit like that. So I keep seeing what kept happening was Gary Sanchez was hot, then he was cold, then he was getting a lot of days off, so that was bothering me. So then it's like, well, you know what? Hell, like Narvaez is doing pretty damn good for the Brewers. Let me pick him up. And then he misses like 2 games in a row. And I'm like, no more of this. And I should have picked up Carson Kelly right then, and I didn't. And then today's the first day Carson Kelly can play for me, and he's not playing today. Catchers. Last year I got over this by having Travis d'Arnaud on my team.
Okay.
Right? And Travis d'Arnaud counts at first base and catcher. So like I could basically have him at a corner infield position, a utility position, catcher, on my bench if he's not doing well. But then if my starting catcher, which was Wilson Contreras last year, if he wasn't starting, then all of a sudden, boom, I've got Travis d'Arnaud playing, right? I got through that because somebody else always qualified as catcher in my previous years. And now I don't have that. I just got to eat it. And I don't like it.
You just reminded me of the Nats game I was watching. You know who was hitting with the Joshes was Alex Avila. He was hitting, And and he looked good at the plate.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him. He doesn't look at all the same as he did. He was like longtime Tiger, right?
I think, yeah. Every time I think of him in an American League uniform. I think he was the White Sox at some point and a Tiger. Yeah.
Yep. So you get a little older and you look a little different, right?
Yeah.
But he can still hit. So hey, so that was a good day. So in fantasy baseball, the stakes for you are different than they are if you were trying to keep a team together in the real world.
Yes.
Not just because you can't move people around all the time in the real world, but because the way that you accrue points is really different than the way you accrue wins, right?
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Is that what you is that why a season feels a whole season, it feels like a series of 2-week chunks?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like what you're trying to do in fantasy is have everyone kind of, you want a bunch of positive outcomes that amount to you getting points, yes, versus another person. And then you have to wipe the slate clean again next week when you're playing a different opponent. Right. So there are times like right now, I'm in a close game. So it feels close. Great. It feels close. But I'm rooting for different people to do well at different times, because it doesn't help me. If I'm winning in home runs, it doesn't help me to win in home runs by 30 home runs. All I need to do is win in home runs by 1. So then where is it that I'm falling down? Like, and in this particular week, I'm winning 7-5 right now, where I'm not doing well. I will just pull this up real quick. I am not doing well. Come on, computer. Let's go website. There we go. I'm playing the New York Lindors.
Well, you can't beat them because Lindor's my hero. So
yeah. I'm not doing well in home runs. Actually, I'm down by 3. I'm not doing well in hits. I'm down by 10, and I'm not doing well in saves. I'm down by 2 saves. Right, but like the important part here is I'm losing ERA. My current team ERA is 5.75, and my opponent's ERA is 4.55. What you should know is at the end of Monday's games, I think my ERA was like 80.
Oh, wow.
So all week long, I've been watching the ERA, the pitchers on my staff, because the Monday, Tuesday, great pitchers were terrible.
Oh, wow.
Getting killed in the first inning. Like somebody I think gave up like 9 runs in 1 inning or some shit like that. It was bad. And the whole week has been like trying to get my pitchers, hoping my pitchers would like kind of all pull that together. And yeah, even Arrieta right now, Arrieta 1 inning has an ERA of 9, right?
Oh, wow.
And Patrick Corbin, 4 innings, he has an ERA of 11.25.
Okay, what's the deal with Corbin? Why is he? What is the deal with Patrick Corbin?
I think it's 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Everyone's waiting for June.
Yeah. So we can all be out here in the real world. Clearly, this is not a fantasy world we live in the real world. So I think that's a fair distinction to make.
Right. Yes.
In the real world, it's you're right. Like you told me last week, you got to wait till it gets warm. We can all just be patient. We can enjoy baseball. We're going to hope that our teams accrue wins, because that's good. It's good to get off to a good start, but don't be hard on your players yet. It's not warm. It needs to get warm.
Right.
And
some of it is like, players, there are players who have experienced players, you already know who they are, right? Yeah. So even if they start off bad, the only reason they would stay bad is probably an injury, right? And the likelihood that, you got to get a player who just kind of works through the injury and stays injured the entire year is probably pretty small. So usually someone's going to say, yep, this shoulder just isn't right. If it's a pitcher. Like a position player is prone to kind of like trying to work through it for the most part, I think. But pitchers tend to be like, nope, that's a blister. Nope, elbow, shoulder, something ain't right. And take some time off to deal with it. But when Zach Plesac has an ERA of 10 this week, Joe Ross, your boy Joe Ross, has an ERA of 9.5.
Yeah, he had a bad, and I spoke too soon. And then what was it, Wednesday? Joe Ross was really good again.
Yeah. Right. So his ERA would be worse if it weren't for the Wednesday start, right? So like there's like some of these guys I think are they're not pitchers. Kenta Maeda is not a 21 ERA guy, right? And he's on my opponent's team, and I know he's better than that. So some of it comes down to like, all right, at some point they're going to get back to who they are. We have to just kind of suffer through who they're being right now.
Okay.
Right? Because hitters who are fastball hitters are going to take advantage of it.
Okay.
You know, this is a point that I wanted to get at too about a topic that I heard on the radio, and I heard it for a couple weeks straight. I think there's a general manager, and it might be Jed Hoyer for the Cubs, but it might be somebody else who wants to. They want to move the mound back a foot.
A foot.
A whole foot. They want to move the mound back. They don't want to raise it or lower it. They want to move it back. And the reason they want to move it back is it's a metric that is being discussed called tunneling, right? And it has to do with when a pitcher is throwing a ball. Generally, every pitcher throwing a ball, from the point the ball leaves their hands, that ball is on a particular trajectory. It's going to one specific place right up until the point where it breaks.
Yeah.
Right. And the tunnel is that point where it's on whatever path it's on right before the break, right?
Can we remind Legion of Fan that this is what we mean when we say breaking ball?
Absolutely, Legion of Fan. This is what a breaking ball is, right? The problem here is that what's perceived as a problem by some is that the best pitchers in the game have figured out ways to keep the ball in the tunnel longer. So it breaks later and later and later, and it becomes next to impossible for hitters to catch up to or to pick up on, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is only perceived to be a problem, in my opinion, if you are a Major League Baseball team who has invested $300 million into a hitter, and you're worried that now pitchers are going to have an advantage if they can do this situation by hiding that break longer. So you want to move the mound back to give your hitter an extra second, a millisecond or whatever, to catch the break, the spin, or the movement of that ball, right? I call utter and complete bullshit, because it ain't what pitcher yelled and jumped and screamed and said, "What the shit? You're paying hitters not $300 million?" You know, some pitchers gonna be like, "Well, fuck, I'm elite. I'm gonna get a fuck ton of strikeouts. You have to pay me $300 million." It is not anyone's fault that the players took that money, except for you general managers who signed those players.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to see more offense? You don't want the pitchers having this advantage? Great. All right. Then you know what needs to happen here? People need to go up there and start swinging the damn bat.
Yeah.
Stop looking at pitches. Don't stop striking out looking. Get the swinging, right? And honestly, I feel like if this is a problem that is only really in effect for the best pitchers in the game, then the not best pitchers in the game aren't really having this as a thing, right? Like, breaking balls are breaking at times when you expect them to for the number 3 and 4 starters.
Yeah.
Right. But when it's like Trevor Bauer or Yu Darvish, you notice it more.
Yeah.
Well, why penalize Trevor Bauer and Yu Darvish?
Right.
Why we're gonna penalize Shane Bieber?
Yeah.
For being one of the best at his craft? No.
Well, apparently we are. Well, I mean that this is something that's being tried already. Was it in the Atlantic League? There is a league where they're experimenting with a 61 point something inch mound. They've moved the mound and what plays out. So, and I was like, oh, so this is happening. This is a thing. I didn't understand why. And if this is the reason why, it causes me to put myself or attempt to put myself in the mind of a third or fourth place starter, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like the fourth starter on your team. Maybe I'm even the fifth. Like I don't even get to go pitch in the postseason.
Sure.
But seems to me that every day I wake up and I get out of bed, what I'm saying to myself is I'm going to work really hard today because I want my pitch to break like Max Scherzer's, right?
Sure.
That's what I'm saying to myself every single day when I get up, and I work so hard. And this is the goal of my whole life. And it's actually because you have that kind of goal and you're pursuing it, you're happy, you have joy. And this is essentially saying to those guys, well, I'm just going to deflate your dreams totally because it's never going to happen. Now, it doesn't seem to baseball players strike me as being bullheaded people who will not accept it's never going to happen. Athletes strike me that way. Athletes, like no matter what conditions you create, they're going to say, I'm going to be the best. Every day I'm going to come in here and I'm going to be the best. I am going to beat Roger Federer today. Yeah. And sometimes they do, right? Change the conditions, change the shape, change whatever. They're still going to think that way. But to me, it's a bad message because it's kind of telling 3, 4, 5. Not only are you not good enough now, but you're never going to get a chance to be.
Or you know what has to happen is like 3, 4, 5 are going to spend an extra year in the minors.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to put a little extra oomph on a fastball or come up with something.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're not gonna go get jobs at Target immediately. Right. They're gonna try something else.
Yeah.
But if the idea here is you're moving it back to give hitters an extra chance, what you're gonna end up with are a bunch of hitters who like still won't be able to hit Trevor Bauer and Yu Darvish.
Right.
Right. Like, you know, like right now, Fernando Tatis yesterday, just in the last 2 days, he showed he can hit Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
Right. The best hitters, Mike Trout's not going to have a problem with this.
Right.
Right. You know, it might help Nico Horner, let's say. Right. It might help the guys who like are not your star players, but are like they may have 1 or 2 more options, or they've just made a team and they're out of options, but they're like not top of the order, or you know, like there's guys who are not your elite players. Right. It might help them a bit.
Right.
But what are you really doing? It seems kind of artificial. So, all right, I got a guy who's a 15 home run hitter. Now he's hitting 18 home runs because he's got an extra foot. What did he really gain? He doesn't become a 40 home run guy, right? He's not becoming he's not a 240 hitter who's suddenly going to become like a 310 hitter. I don't see that happening,
Yeah.
right? So what did he, more than likely he's a 240 hitter. He's going to become a 250 hitter, right? He's still a middle of the road player for the most part, but you absolutely did nerf some of your pitching.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not gonna and if you're not gonna be marketing your players in the first damn place, then like I would understand if you were saying to the fans, come on out to the ballpark and see these home runs fly out of here. Let me show you, like, you know, like right now, I just switched to Brewers Cubs. If it's like, you know, Chris Bryant, Christian Yelich, Keston Hiura, you know, like Anthony Rizzo, Javi Baez, like these guys. If you're gonna tell the national TV watching audience, these guys are the best hitters that you can watch in this series this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not advertising it on, let's say, don't advertise it on like Major League Baseball Network. Advertise that on ABC. Advertise that on like ESPN. Advertise it on Fox. Advertise it wherever people are watching TV. Put it on FX. You know, put it on A&E if you got to put it wherever people are watching TV.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, then do whatever you can to make the non-fan tuning in see something exciting.
Yeah.
Right. But don't move the mound. Right. Like, moving the mound, at some point, don't you want to also say you should come watch Brandon Woodruff pitch?
Uh-huh.
You know, like at some point you want it to be like, shit, man. Like, if you got a great pitcher, let the great pitcher be a great pitcher. What we may as well move the mound back to second base. What are we doing?
Okay, so let's so just to be, this is even devil's advocate because it's not that sharp a question, but in most places that I've ever worked that are not baseball, if you're not getting the outcomes that you want, what you want to do is work with your tools, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so you know, even like an online learning where I am right now, if the students aren't succeeding, what you do is you look at what kind of access do they have to the quizzes? Are they not finding the quizzes? Is that why they're failing them? You know,
Yeah.
And so you mess with the tools, you mess with the context in which they find themselves, and that maybe that's just kind of a natural place that you go, even in baseball, where you say, okay, we're not getting the outcomes we want here. Hitters can't seem to hit these pitchers, and so we'll mess with the context. That's common. I'm not saying it's a right response, but it's a very common response. Maybe it's not thoughtful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You think about it with traffic, for example. Like if I were like a city engineer, right, and I saw a lot of accidents at a intersection, then I might retime the lights.
Yes.
Right. Or add in a dedicated turn light or something. You change the context.
Yes.
To get the results you want. In that respect, I can see why you think, well, let me move the mound, or let me make the ball a little different, or, you know, let me make the bats heavier, or let me change where we get our mud. You know, all these things they're talking about. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about how we deal with problems in other contexts.
Why not? But I would think it's like, if we think we need to move the mound because of how good Bauer and Darvish are, it seems to me that we should make advertisements to advertise how good Bauer and Darvish are.
Yes.
Right? Put more butts in the seats because these dudes are incredible.
Yeah.
They're so incredible. It's unfair that they're pitching to people where they're pitching to people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Advertise that.
Yes.
Right? Because what we don't do, if there's too many traffic accidents at a corner, we don't make the cars slower.
Yes, that's true. Well,
you know?
sometimes we do. We change the speed limit, but nobody.
Sure. Look, we can change the speed limit. We don't add a fifth wheel.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's things that we just don't do.
Or make everybody drive in first gear.
Right. In some cases, we've absolutely widened the streets. We've done all kinds of things to eliminate the traffic accidents.
Yeah.
Right. But like, there's a lot of things we didn't do when trying to eliminate the traffic accident.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe that's you. Maybe the messing with the baseball, trying to make the baseball whatever they're trying to do with it. Maybe that's the.
Well, remember they did mess with they tried to deny that the baseball was juiced. Right? Remember that the whole baseball juicing situation? But we know the baseball was juiced, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, they probably should just come out and been like, you know what? We're gonna wind these baseballs a little tighter this year.
Yeah.
Come watch these balls fly to these parks, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now my 40-degree wind is blowing off through my window here. It's colder than I expected.
Yeah, typical of Denver weather. I will tell you right now, it is at my house. Come on, weather map. It is 76 degrees.
And you had snow this week. We're gonna have 80 at some point this week.
Yeah.
But we're also gonna have 50.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's not gonna stay 80.
Not uncommon. We're having a weird time, and this is going to come up. This is going to come up some point during the baseball season. We are going to be talking this year, like we were last year, about all the smoke in Denver because it's going to be bad. I hope.
Oh yeah, you're anticipating forest fires?
I am anticipating it. Yeah, I mean the state of Colorado is. I mean I want to be wrong, but the state of Colorado is actually offering webinars to residents of certain areas and to help them with forest fire preparation. How to be ready, what to do, what to expect. I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of the state having, webinars are kind of a new thing anyway, right? But trying to get people prepped because we are out of the serious drought and we're into extreme drought.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you able, from where you live, are you able to see any forest? Or are you like so deep in the city, you got to drive outside the city? You can't?
I have to drive outside the city. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fortunately, but you remember last year the fire got within 85 miles of Denver.
Yeah.
That's
like Chicago to Milwaukee. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a good month of having trouble breathing. And when I would get up in the morning, they'd have pictures of Coors Field or Mile High Stadium just buried in smoke.
Yeah.
And you think, what's going to happen to these guys? Is this going to be like bad for their health? I mean, it's going to be bad health out.
Bad for everybody's health. Yeah.
And I remember because Steve goes for a long bike ride every day, and he was talking about how grateful he was in a sense for the mask that we're wearing for COVID because it was filtering the air for him while he was driving, and maybe that's what'll happen as athletes will start having to, play in places like Denver with masks on. Showing up with like gas.
Air quality matters.
Crazy. So there's that, but yeah, market that these guys are so good that it's not fair. And I completely agree with you. I am surprised sometimes that I turn on something like MLB Network and I see lots of baseball ads, and I think, well, yeah, what else are they going to advertise here for baseball?
But it's the only place they're advertising it.
They're advertising to itself.
Yes.
Baseball advertising to itself.
Yeah.
And, I don't watch Sports Center that much. I mean, I know that sometimes they have, like they had in the back of the day when I watch ESPN a lot, like maybe during Baseball Tonight, which I watched, they would have the those funny ads they used to do in the lunchroom, and they have one with Manny Ramirez, and one with Albert Pujols, and sorry. The sneeze that wasn't.
Yeah.
This is my sock, and and apparently those were like ads for everybody. But it seems to me that you're already motivated to learn about sports, which is what you have Sports Center on, Whereas, you need to get out there and get to people who really don't understand that this miraculous thing is happening right before our eyes.
Right.
And, Oral Hershiser. So I haven't missed a Padres-Dodgers game yet. and it was in yesterday's game. Oral, I put on SNLA because I just love Oral Hershiser is amazing. He's
really good,
interesting, and he's so smart.
He's
everything. But he's interesting. He just share anyway. So he was talking about how all of these tools that baseball players have access to right now to make them better players, right? And that they take advantage of them. And he was talking about some of the things, like even just seeing a chiropractor and how that stuff wasn't available to him in the 80s. And he was almost like fantasizing about how good he could be right now if he had all the same tools. And he said, every generation of baseball players is basically the same as the generation that came before. That's what tradition is for them. Like what people traditionally do is whatever the most recent generation did, and then they improve on it, and they improve on it, and so every generation improves on what it got. He said, without a doubt, these are the strongest, fittest, most talented athletes that have ever played this game, and that the next generation is going to be even better than the one we're watching now. And
by the time your boyfriend Nando is ready to like be near retirement, it's going to be some kid who right now is like 10 years old, right? Like some kid's gonna be 20, 21 years old, and like he's gonna come up and just be insanely good at baseball. Like,
And right now he's wearing number 23, brown pinstripes.
That's Fernando's in Nando's case, like Nando is so good at baseball that he has raised the level of the rivalry between the Dodgers and the Padres.
Yeah.
And Trevor Bauer likes it.
Yeah.
Like he did Trevor Bauer's like one eye thing, taunt thing.
I can hit you with one. I only need one eye to hit you, man.
Yeah, he did that, and Bauer was like, you know what? I like that, because he said that he said pitchers get upset about that kind of stuff, and then they start want to throw it at hitters, and he said that doing that's just kind of soft.
Yeah.
He's like, if I'm doing good and I get a guy and I put that emotion in it, and that guy, he comes back up, like he said Eric Hosmer.
Yeah.
He struck Eric Hosmer out on a 2-out, like a 2-strike curveball or some shit. So he struck him out. He got him on a low curve, and he did like his sword fighting kind of gesture or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Hosmer got a hit off him, and he did the same thing. He's like, great.
Yeah.
People are into it, man. Like, but if he'd gone up there and just had to hit Hosmer or some crap, he's like, that's weak. That's soft. And I agree. Like, I think that like the whole hitting someone because you don't like how enthusiastic they were, you should have got them out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no.
Get them out.
Put the ego aside and let the real ego come into play. I am the best, man. I am the best. I love that quote from Juan Soto. You always go up there and you act like you're better than they are. He says, I am better than they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, act like it. Yeah, you don't have to go hitting people. Trevor Bauer. See, that came to mind when you were talking about advertising the game, because I mean, what is a cooler image than Trevor Bauer like celebrating a pitch he just threw and acting like he's putting his sword back into its scabbard? I mean, that stuff is cool.
You put that in an ad on any other station where somebody would just be like, oh, there's a baseball game once a night and that guy's pitching? Why wouldn't I watch some of that?
Right. Yeah, let me check that out. And most people probably don't watch all 9 innings. That's all right. So what?
But they're probably going to catch an inning that has like Justin Turner looking like a barbarian, and Corey Seager doing Corey Seager things.
Right.
Like I could watch a Corey Seager at bat any day.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, but like if you're not a fan, let's say you're not a fan, like tuning into a game like that where almost everyone up the plate or in the field is top of their game and excited to be there and ready to go and do something.
Yeah, and ready to win. To win. Yeah, and maybe you don't know, but you tune in and you see some guy who's tall and he has like this bright pink armband on and he hits a home run and you're like, wow, that really went far. And the announcers, I mean, they have to bring it, but I mean, those guys on SNLA, they just bring so much excitement, right? And then maybe you're talking to your friend, or going to the kitchen and getting something, and you come back and there's that guy up again, and you recognize him because he's got that pink armband, and he hits another one. You're like, what?
Yep.
How often does that guy come to the plate? What? He hit 2 home runs. Yeah,
right.
2 different nights. He hit 2 home runs, man. That kid, he's amazing. Yeah, I suppose he is still my boyfriend. I have a bone to pick with him.
Clearly the way you and boyfriends work is you keep them at arm's length. So they, you know, like they're like cats. They got to bring you a dead mouse or something. You know.
I guess that's right. So I had to wrestle with something a little bit Nando related this week because I'm sure you remember last season I was complaining about Walker Buehler's pants, right? And you know, okay, so I don't like that look. But on the other hand, that isn't my biggest fear. My biggest fear is that it will become a trend and everybody will start wearing those pants.
What I believe that Dr. Beth is talking about is super baggy.
No, it's super tight.
The super tight pants.
Yeah. Dr. Beth is talking about Walker Buehler's leggings.
Yes.
And they look really, really weird because they aren't yoga pants from like the belt down just past the butt. They're normal pants, but then they turn into these leggings that are like really tight. And watching him enough times, I thought, you know what really bugs me about this is that they're high waters. I really hate high waters. And so, you know, they're sitting about 3 inches above the top of his shoe.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, at least, okay. So, but I was really scared because I thought, fine, Walker Buehler, like you're empowered to wear what you want within your team's rules and regulations. But what if everybody starts wearing these pants? I'm going to have to look at it all the time. That's what I didn't want. So what happens is Gratterall shows up in the same pants. And I'm like, oh no, the world's ending.
Got you going.
This is going to be a thing now, you know? And then I was watching the game night before last and I was looking at Nando and I'm like, man, Nando is wearing the same pants. So why doesn't it bother me when Nando does it? And I thought about this really hard and I realized that it doesn't bother me because he wears them all the way down to the tops of his shoes, and the pinstripes and the different color kind of smooth it out. It's not visually as jarring as those white leggings, those white high water leggings. So then I realized, yeah, Walker Buehler, I mean, he's the man. He can wear whatever he wants as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully what we'll always have is a lot of variety. That's what I hope we will always have. And
uniform variation. Yeah.
So that's my like wardrobe comment of the week, because because you know we talk about all this flair in baseball, and that's not just Trevor Bauer, like, you know, putting his sword back in his sheath, or Nando saying, you know, I only need one eye to hit you, man, because I mean, we love that. We want to see bat flips, we want to see the whole business, we want to see the bright red armband, we want a bright pink, I mean, we want to see all of it. But yeah, lots of variety, and that's flair in how you turn up to the game. And it's why Bauer actually is so cool, because he wears like I looked like I don't know what was on his socks, but they were great.
Okay.
Right? And you know, so his shoes were great. Like everything he was wearing on the mound, everything, he was rocking a really good look, and I was really into it. And I think Jurickson Profar is doing something with his belt, right? He's doing something cool with his belt, and I realized that's a whole area of fashion flair that is unexplored and unexploited. Dear baseball players,
his name is also Jurickson Profar. That's a real person's name.
That's a real person's name.
That's a baseball name.
Get the name Jurickson Profar because it's so cool. What's his story? I meant to look it up and I can't remember. I remember it's so much buzz when he came up. He was going to be the best thing since sliced bread, and then he wasn't.
Right.
And
he turned out to be just another baseball player.
Yeah. Another, I mean, I guess because I've seen 3 Dodgers-Padres games this week, I've had lots of time with Oral Hershiser and his broadcast partner. And one of the things I love about those guys is that they're kind of keeping the Vin Scully tradition alive, you know, where Vin Scully would tell players stories during their at-bats.
Yes.
And they're doing that. They're still doing that. They haven't given up on the storytelling side of it. And it makes them the most compelling broadcast because they humanize these guys for the viewers. Right?
Okay.
I mean, really
so
I love like listening to Justin Morneau talk about when you steal a base, or the heaviness of a bat, or why somebody gets hot versus, you know, I love all that. I want to listen to it all day, but to be able to sit and know like where a guy came from and what he means to his hometown and what his grandmother used to feed him for dinner and and what he's been through to get.
You want to know Jurickson Profar's story?
Yeah, the Jurickson Profar.
His full name is Jurickson Bartholomeus Profar.
Oh, he is that, yeah.
And he is from Willemstad, Curacao.
Yeah, he's from Curacao.
Yeah, and I don't know how many baseball players are from Curacao, but he is one.
Right now, there's probably one. I mean, I think there've been others, but yeah, I mean, guys remember him from, playing in the Little League World Series, or, in the international competitions. I mean, he's been around. And when he was drafted, he was going to be the next big star, but I think he had injury, or he had surgery or something like that. It set him back. And was he with the Rangers? Was it the
He
Rangers?
was with the Rangers, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, unforgettable name. And when he was with when he popped up on the Padres, I'm like, well, he's like what they call a piece. I don't like that, but he's not going to be a star. He's going to be a piece.
Yeah.
But he turned out to be a star. And I'm like, and I think he's rocking something cool with his belt, but I'm not positive.
They have images of him in prior uniforms. Well, right now, I'm not seeing him in his Padres uniform. I'm seeing his belt looked pretty standard in Texas.
The cameras aren't very. The cameras are kind of back behind the catcher to the catcher's left.
Yeah.
And Profar's a left-handed hitter, and I think it looks to me like what he has going on is on the right side of his belt. Like maybe he's got some green.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Some cool green or something going on to go with the brown, and he likes his green. He's got greens like worked into a lot of the parts of his uniform, but you can't see it because you'd have to put the camera out right into the field. Basically right in the path of the bat. So.
Right.
You just have to hope. I just want to see more fun with belts. I think that would that's my recommendation. My baseball wardrobe recommendation of the week is more fun with belts. Yeah. And while we're on the wardrobe thing, one other follow-up, and that is on Jazz Chisholm's blue hair.
Yep.
Because we talked a bit about that last week, and then he was on MLB Central this past week.
Okay.
And they asked him about his hair, which I'm glad, and they asked him about his blue hair, which I guess Sandy Alcantara told him he should dye his hair blue, and so he did.
Okay.
And then he said that he wanted to. He gone back to Alcantara and said, well, I've had it blue, and now we're making this happen, and I want my hair red like flames. And Alcantara was like, no, you got to have blue like Marlins. And so now his hair is two different colors, right?
Yes.
So he's got the red for the flames, followed by followed by the blue for the Marlins. And they asked him, I can't remember. They asked him something, but they did not ask him how much it would cost to keep his, which it would have been a tasteless question, and I'm glad they didn't. I don't think they asked him how often he had to do it either. And so those are still my key questions: is how much does that cost, and how often do you have to do it? And since I'm getting my hair cut on Wednesday by the same stylist who did my attempted blue dye many years ago now, I'm going to ask her, I'm going to say, Trish, if I wanted to have bright blue hair every day for 7 months, how much would that cost?
Yes. Right.
Ever
ballpark it. Okay. So
I'm not saying it's equivalent because Jazz Chisholm might hold his color longer than I do,
I put an image of Jurickson Profar in his belt situation in the chat.
Oh, you found something.
Yeah. And what it looks like is happening is it looks like he's got like a gold, like some kind of gold part of his belt, and then his white belt loops or something like this. There's multiple things happening there. Around his waist. Yeah. It almost looks like almost like insignia, like this man has a rank.
Oh, it does. It definitely looks that way. So that's just such a nice, subtle way to play with style and to make it fun.
Yeah.
All right. So while we have Jurickson Profar up, hello, Jurickson Profar, sir. He's got that white Adidas band, right? So would you say that is a traditional classic style sweat band? Or is that some kind of compression sweat absorbent thing?
On his right arm?
Yeah.
I think it's compression sleeve.
Okay.
That's kind of what it looks like. Yeah.
I was looking at those guys today.
It looks like a compression sleeve, and he might have his wrist taped. Or he's wearing a gold traditional sweatband and a compression sleeve. Both is what he looks like he's doing.
There we go. Sorry.
So more than likely, that's probably what it is. I think he's got a compression sleeve on the arm.
Yeah.
And then, because it's only on one arm, and then he's got two different color wristbands, one black and then one gold.
Okay. So, one of these days I'm going to have enough courage to show you my compression sleeve setup because it's pretty cool, but it's going to take some courage.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen.
Why courage?
Because it's kind of wrapped up in a scary story.
Oh, like one where you tore your ACL or something like
that. I wish.
Okay.
That would not be scary.
All right, we'll work our way up to it then.
Yeah, we'll work our way to it. Yeah,
you can tell me off podcast.
Yeah, or I can tell you off podcast. Yeah, and
you can tell Legion of Fan the scary story.
I was thinking this morning about other baseball boyfriends, and I think Nando's my third baseball boyfriend, right? So my first one was Gary Carter.
Okay.
And that's because it was the 1980s. It was the mid 80s, and I lived in New York, and I just discovered baseball. And Gary Carter was the catcher for the Mets.
For the Mets, and I think he was on a Wheaties box for crying out loud. Gary Carter was everywhere. That's how you advertise your damn baseball player.
Yeah, that's right.
You get them national spotlight ads where everyone and their mama watches this ad. Like
that's right.
Wheaties in the 80s was the jam.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
They were like, the Wheaties in the 80s had a marketing campaign the level of which McDonald's has now.
Yeah.
You couldn't turn on your TV without seeing a Wheaties ad.
No, you couldn't. Yeah. And you kind of wanted to eat Wheaties because of, all those guys that were doing these brilliant things on baseball, football, basketball. They had their Wheaties that morning, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to get my Wheaties. I love that word, Wheatie.
Yeah, when you think about it now, it's like, ain't no way in the hell they're eating this shit.
Yeah, probably not. But I think it'll be central. They're asking guys who are guests what they had for breakfast. It's like
yes,
apparently. And Jazz Chisholm for breakfast that day had a breakfast sandwich. Okay. He'd also had, I guess he likes to take, I'm serious, Terry. He said this, maybe he's kidding. He likes to take Lucky Charms and Cocoa Puffs and mix them. So he has mixture, a bowl where he's mixed Lucky Charms and Cocoa Puffs for breakfast. And so that Wheaties would be an upgrade.
Why doesn't he just stick the spoon straight into the sugar bowl?
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
That's literally, if I were 12 years old, I totally would have done that, right? But by the time I hit 30, there's no damn way in the hell I could do that anymore.
No, I couldn't. Yeah, I used to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Totally.
Fruity Pebbles is my favorite cereal. And I think I can now, at 50 years old, I can eat Fruity Pebbles once a year.
Yeah.
Right? I look at the box. The box just sits there. I look at the box and Lisa will be like, hey, you want your Fruity Pebbles today? And I'll be like, nope.
Are they as good as they were when the first time you had them?
They probably are, but the sugar bomb is what I don't want.
Oh, okay.
I think that's it. I think it's that, like, I need my breakfast to now be savory. Yeah. And to feel like actual food, because what I don't think I realized in my youth was, like, you get your sugar bomb for breakfast and you burn food as fast as you possibly can, and you're up, because you got to go to school or whatever you got to go do, right? Yeah. And I think that now later my pattern of energy is just different.
Yeah, it is.
And I need something that isn't just like blasting me with sugar.
Right.
And then I need to eat like a steak sandwich or something by 10 o'clock, Like,
right.
I don't want to do that to myself anymore. It just feels horrible.
Okay, so here's a question. When you were a little kid and you had your Byron Buxton is batting right now. This is the first time I've seen him this is the first plate appearance of his I've seen all season.
Okay.
I'm gonna like back and forth. But the you said these are Fruity Pebbles, right?
Yep.
When you were a kid and you had your Fruity Pebbles all the time, back in that time, did you also have a mid-morning snack?
No. Well, wait, maybe, because if school was in, then at the break we all hit the vending machines, right? So the first morning break we got, it was straight to the vending machines, probably for like a donut. Now that I think about it.
Gotta top up that sugar bomb.
Absolutely.
I had a sugar bomb, now I need a little sugar grenade.
Yes. And then when lunch would roll around, it would be whatever it was the cafeteria did for lunch. My high school didn't really allow off campus, so we had to stay on campus for lunch. We could sneak out and do something if we wanted to, but we were taking our lives in our hands because, the cops would be looking for us or whatever. So generally lunch was whatever was in the cafeteria, which was now not a sugary thing. So probably my like, until I learned like actually cooking for myself, to take the time to actually cook a breakfast.
Yeah.
To actually eat something better. But generally cereal was perfectly fine for me. But that first snack was like, yeah, absolutely, probably something that was not healthier than the Fruity Pebbles I ate already. I'm willing to bet. Yeah. I know we did like my mom would buy the Eggo waffles because she worked, right? So like she would have things that I could make for myself for breakfast. And a lot of times I would do that. But if I were in a hurry, cereal's fast, right? Yeah. And so is running out the door, just eating a cold Pop-Tart.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you do whatever you got to do until it's possible. I know there were some days where I would go to school early enough for school breakfast because they had bacon, right? A lot of times there'd be bacon and possibly pancakes or waffles or something like that. So that would be better than the Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
But most of that was also a syrup delivery vehicle, right? What I really wanted was the syrup. So like, I'm going to eat those waffles because they hold syrup, you know? Yeah.
Oh.
I hadn't really considered just how much of my youth was spent just starting my day off with a good 2,000 calories of straight up sugar. Yeah, easily.
I don't, funny. I don't actually remember. I remember Fruit Loops. I think I really loved Fruit Loops. But I was pretty little back when I really loved Fruit Loops.
Yeah, I had a Fruit Loops phase. I'm just glad we didn't have Red Bull when I was growing up. Like, I'm so glad. Red Bull was not a thing.
I know. I would have been all over that. Yeah.
I discovered Jolt Cola somewhere around senior year of high school.
Wow.
And then understood Jolt Cola was a thing I never needed to drink. Pretty quick.
And what about Mountain Dew? Did you ever discover Mountain Dew along the way? Like
as a D&D player, totally discovered Mountain Dew. But I actually like the flavor of Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I wasn't one of those kids that also did a lot of like drinking and smoking and stuff. So it was soft drinks and sugary snacks and shit because that I could do.
Yeah.
But then it also got to the point where like once I learned what the level of caffeine and things like that, I probably wanted to back away from that a little bit to go for something different. You know, I would switch it up. Mountain Dew was a thing I actually did like. I discovered Diet Coke, and when I learned that people didn't like Diet Coke, it made me like it more.
Yeah.
When people didn't prefer it, then it became aha. Then I can have it all to myself.
Yeah.
You know? Great.
I remember. Okay, I was in graduate school, so this, I should have been capable of more mature thinking, but everybody got all down on that. That powdered cream substitute for your coffee.
Yeah.
Everybody got really down on that. So I didn't even use it before then, but people got so down on it that it became like this badge of honor that I had it in all my coffee all the time.
You're gonna fight with it. You're gonna deal with it. Yes.
Yeah. Stop scolding me out of eating things.
You'll enjoy it because other people won't. Yeah.
So here's the idea. It is. Does anybody still do Saturday morning cartoons? I mean, Cartoon Network, I guess, or
they might. What I usually do is I have a hard drive with a lot of cartoons on it. Uh-huh. So when I'm in a cartoon mood, a lot of times it's at night, but like it's a way that I wind down some evenings.
Okay.
Is with like making my hard drive randomize cartoons for me for like an hour.
Oh, nice.
Right, because on Saturday mornings I get up. My Saturday morning routine is I get up and I play Animal Crossing for probably about 45 minutes or so while watching ESPN or Quick Pitch.
Yeah.
Right? That becomes my Saturday morning cartoon routine because there just aren't any actual cartoons on, right? So I will do that. I'll kind of bounce back and forth a little bit, check in on my team, do a little Quick Pitch, turn on Animal Crossing. Then me and Lisa will do breakfast. And then like I'll head off to work, basically like that. That's usually. But my schedule for work is also like Tuesday through Saturday. So I don't have a Saturday chill and relax kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have basically Saturday, it's be out of the house by 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Work all day.
Yeah.
So the reason I was asking is that I don't know. I don't know if I literally don't know what's on TV anymore. But whoever it is who still manufactures things like Cocoa Puffs,
yep.
or right, they need to hire Jazz Chisholm as the face of those cereals, because that guy
You're probably right.
Charming. That guy is an absolute delight, and he loves your product. And he goes and he tells those kids, oh, I love your product, and by the way, and I play baseball, and they're like, Mom, how can we see that guy Jazz Chisholm? He has such a cool name, and he's cool, and now you got baseball on, right? To moms and their kids. Or
speaking of the MLB Central guys asking people what they have for breakfast, they were interviewing somebody last week, or week before, I think it was. And it was, who the hell? I want to say it was a Phillies player or something. It was someone who was about to play the Reds. I'm pretty sure that it was somebody about to play the Reds, and it was Lindor. They were interviewing Francisco Lindor, and they were asking Francisco Lindor what he had for breakfast, and he kept changing the subject. He wouldn't answer the question, and they kept trying to find new ways to ask the question. And I think at some point he turns and he goes, "Who are we playing today?" And he asked a teammate who we're playing today, and the teammate says who they're playing today, and then he goes, "Oh, the Reds. I'm having the Reds for breakfast." And I was like, "Yes."
Lindor's a copycat because I saw Tim Anderson do the same thing.
Was it Tim? That's what it was. It was Tim Anderson. Okay, got it. It was Tim Anderson. Yes, that's what it was. It was Tim Anderson, and it was that was it. And I couldn't figure out why it was Tim Anderson wouldn't answer the. I was like, why is he having a hard time? Just does he not understand what they're asking him? And then I realized they're asking everybody this, and Tim Anderson's just not playing along. Right. He's just not doing it.
Well, I
at all.
It might have possibly found its way into a production meeting. And the reason I think so is because they are still doing this. I thought maybe it was just for the first week, but they were doing this still last week until they were interviewing Jason Hayward, and they didn't ask him. And it's just somehow seemed like that would just be like, you wouldn't ask Jason Hayward a totally frivolous question.
Yes.
He strikes me as being a man of very deep seriousness and purpose.
Yes.
He's a very thoughtful person. And I know that I would be totally.
Who would probably also love to tell you what he had for breakfast.
But they didn't ask him. And I would love to know what he had for breakfast. Like, I'm not going to copy Jazz Chisholm. Well, I might have the breakfast sandwich if you made one for me, right? But I'm not going to eat the cereal. But no. I'm allergic to oatmeal, so I can't have a.
Are you really?
Has for breakfast? Yeah, I am really. Can you believe it?
Oatmeal specifically, or like something in like the process?
I don't know. Both the instant oatmeal. Well, actually, the instant oatmeal doesn't have as an immediate a result as the oatmeal that you have to cook. Yeah. So the stuff that you make in the microwave for like 5 minutes. Yeah. Because I tried eating that every day for breakfast. I thought it'd be really good for me. And then one day I had a bowl of oatmeal, and you know what I would do is I would put a spoon of peanut butter in it, put some walnuts in it, put some cinnamon in it, stir it all up. That peanut butter, man, I love peanut butter. And about an hour after I ate it, my face swelled up and like seriously itched all over. And of course at the time I didn't blame the oatmeal because I was eating it every day. But now I thought maybe. So
you had to do an experiment to see if it was also the peanut butter.
It's the oatmeal.
Yeah, it's the oatmeal. And it's not the cinnamon, let's say, right? Like,
no, not the cinnamon yet. Fortunately, I love cinnamon and I love peanut butter. I eat like a half a jar of peanut butter a day. I'm exaggerating, but you know, I hope that Jason.
Or unless you're not.
Well, that's what Byron Buxton has right before the game is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I could do that. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
And we could wrap with this one, but it's like really, really baseball. It's a really, really big. It's a baseball.
Last question. Let's go.
Yeah. Does base stealing break up the shift?
I don't know that base stealing breaks up the shift, but I do know hitting the ball to the opposite field wheel.
Yes.
Right?
Will.
Like, you want to break up the shift, hit it where they ain't.
See, I believe that base stealing breaks up the shift. And let's explain the shift to Legion of Fan.
Yeah, if I'm a right-handed hitter, I am predominantly going to pull the ball to left field, which is so to my left, right? What if I do this so predictably, the other team can just watch me walk up to the plate and know damn well that's where I'm going to do it. That's where I'm going to hit the ball. They will shift their whole defense over to the left side of the infield. Right. So what will happen is the second baseman will move from his spot in between first and second base to probably play directly behind the bag. The shortstop will stay where he is or move a little further over. And the third baseman will move more towards shortstop. So you'll have basically two shortstops and a short center fielder is what you're going to end up with. And maybe the left fielder will come in a bit because they're really playing the infield this way. They're not expecting me to hit a home run. Right. They're expecting me to hit the ball along the ground or a line drive. So if a person is on first base, right? If there's a runner on first base and the shift is on, there's going to be, in this particular case, if I try to steal, there is largely already somebody standing there ready to receive a ball because the second baseman is standing directly behind the bag more than likely. But if I'm a left-handed hitter and the shift is to the right side of the field, the trick is it's about the same situation, right? Like there's now immediately the shortstop standing right behind the bag. The first baseman and second baseman are standing at the second base position effectively. There is no one really at shortstop other than the third baseman. So once I'm running, once I go into my break, there are multiple fielders ready to receive a ball, you know, and no one's really being caught off guard. Yeah, I'm stealing the base directly in front of two other infielders instead of just one.
Okay. Totally understandable. Okay, so we'll tweak the setting. Left-handed hitter, likely to hit it deep, like you know, short, likely to hit it deep into no man's land, right? Into the Legion of Fan, the area between the area that's most central between the you know, first, second base and say right field. I'm not very articulate, but you know what I mean. So there's a place in between where somebody, no matter whether they're in the field or whether they're at a base, they're going to have to run as far as is obvious to get there, and no further, no less further. Right. So let's say those guys are out there. They've got the shift on for a left-handed hitter, but they're expecting it to go a little more deep, and so they're playing a little more deep. And then you got a runner on first, and he sees an opportunity, and he steals second.
Yes.
Now, what do the guys in the shift do? Because I think they got to break up the shift. I think they got to take more traditional positions at that point.
Once a player has reached second base via stealing, what you're having to do now is make sure third base isn't like a foregone conclusion.
Right.
Because if you're still in the position for the shift on the right side of the field and someone has made it to second base, that guy's getting third base anytime he wants.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be no one who can stop him from getting there.
Yeah.
Right? The third baseman would still be standing at shortstop and no one's covering third.
Right.
So you would have to not be in shift position, in shift mode, if this is the case.
Right. Yeah. So maybe base stealing could break up an extreme shift on a left-handed hitter.
Yes.
How's that?
Yeah, I think honestly, like almost no matter what happens, if second base is stolen, and the shift is on for a right-handed hitter, if you're doing that and the runner still gets the second, your defense is already shoddy, right? Everyone's stealing all day long. It doesn't matter where you guys are, right?
Maybe that's what I've noticed. Maybe that's what I've noticed. I thought these guys were stealing base to bust up the shift. But what's really happening is they're stealing base because it's really easy.
It might be just it might be like, you know, whoever's in the field must be like a bunch of like, you know, washer dryers with gloves or something. Like no one's fearing them in the field at all. You know, if we're stealing in these circumstances. You know? Okay,
so now guys who are stealing bases, particularly like, okay, you have games that are so amped with emotion and intensity and rivalry, like Dodgers and Padres, and guys are still managing to steal base. Why?
Well, I think part of it is like pitchers having a hyper focus on what's going on at the plate and not paying attention to holding runners. Like you're thinking. A lot of times that it's guys who are younger who are doing the stealing. Like I always tell people that when you'll notice the guys who are proficient base stealers, they steal less bases as their careers advance, right? They become more risk averse. They become a little slightly slower. Even like a blink of an eye slower matters if you're a base stealer. But young guys coming up, they got to find ways of getting the lineup. So they got to do everything they damn well can.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? If you're a young, fast guy, you're stealing. Because you like walking it ain't gonna get you there. You need to make things happen and get noticed. So you're going to steal more. But like if pitchers are so hyper-focused on what players are doing at the plate, they're not, you know, constantly thrown over to first base. And there's also this like the focus on making the game faster. You know, if you're going to make the game faster, you can't have players like throw over to the first baseman 6 times.
Right. Yeah. Holding the runner is one of the most boring things you can do.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, it's a defensive thing that you ought to do, right? You don't want you don't want him stealing. You better hold him off.
Let him know you're paying attention to him,
And since most pitchers in the game are going to be right-handed anyway, then the runner at first is behind you.
Right.
So what you're counting on then is your first baseman giving you a signal,
right,
that the ball needs to come over there, right?
Right.
So I think that's really what it comes down to. It's like it's younger players needing to do it, right? and getting the trust of their and speaking of it, I think that Ian Happ was just thrown out trying to steal third base.
Hey, that's awesome. See, at least they're trying to steal. I mean, they're trying to steal third base. That is so exciting. That is so exciting. I know holding the runner isn't necessarily that interesting, even though it's supposed to happen, but stealing a base, especially second and third, that's exciting.
And this is also one of those things where like you're sort of really having to pay attention to, like, especially early in the season, if you're not hitting, right? If you're scuffling, if you're not scoring runs, let's say, then base stealing is one of those things that puts pressure on a defense that just makes it easier, makes it possible that you can score runs. If you're having a hard time scoring, then you may as well try to steal, because you got to manufacture runs any way you can.
Yeah.
You can't just wait for home runs to score you. You got to do something.
Yeah.
So I completely get it. I don't think that you want to run your way out of the inning like Ian Happ may have just done, right? Like if you got 2 outs, you might want to just chill it a little bit here, because unless you know damn well you're playing a catcher who just kind of is in a slump and he ain't quite got it defensively, then maybe don't risk that,
right?
You know, but like he had to try something, I'm guessing, because the Cubs, they've been hot lately, but overall the mood might be we're struggling to score runs.
Oh, okay.
But in a way I don't get it. I mean, in a way I get it rather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that like whenever I'm looking at guys who I think of as traditional base stealers, I notice year over year they're stealing less because, you know, time starts catching up to you and they become risk averse.
Okay.
You know, your team becomes better. Now you're better and you're winning and you don't want to run yourself out of an inning.
So these are the prime years for Mookie Betts to steal bases.
Yes.
Which he is doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And Nando probably has a few more years of base stealing ahead of him.
Right.
And Manny might be running out of base stealing years.
Mike Trout. No one's really talking about the Mike Trout base stealing shit.
Yeah.
Mike Trout's hitting the ball over the fence. He ain't really he's gonna steal some, yes. He's gonna get you.
Yeah.
Right? But he probably ain't getting 30. You
have to get on base before you steal, and if you keep hitting runs, you don't get on base. You just kind of out around, but you don't have to stay there.
Right. and as far as pressure on the defense goes, the Dodgers are such good hitters that if Mookie Betts does steal a base, think about the fear you have now. Like now, man, first base is open, but I don't want to put a guy, I don't want to walk anybody. I gotta pitch to dudes.
Right.
And Mookie is just running all over the damn place. The same with Fernando. Like Fernando Tatis is running all over the place, and bases are open, and you don't want to put extra guys on. So you still got to pitch the dudes.
Right.
You know who are you pitching around in either of those lineups?
Yeah.
You know, just because Nando or Mookie stole a base, you're not pitching around anybody.
Right. Yeah, you can't.
You know, you can't walk. You can't intentionally walk anyone to get to an easy out. There are no easy outs.
Yeah.
For teams that are that good.
You know, when you got a guy as good as Jurickson Profar, who's like hitting 8.
Yeah. Right.
You got a heck of a lineup.
Yeah. Jurickson Profar could be a solid 2-hitter on anybody's team, right? So
did you see that catch in left field that he made 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
Oh. Moments like that. Yeah, they got to market there because I practiced out of my chair. You're like,
it's the same. It's a similar situation for the White Sox, right? The White Sox are so good at hitting when they're on. That hitting is so good on that team that you're not like, okay, Tim Anderson steals a base, you let him steal the base.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want Tim Anderson standing on third now.
Right.
Right? When you still can't put anybody on because you don't want Yermin Mercedes coming up. Right? With 2 men on now, screw that. You got to take your chances with a Brave.
Right.
Right? You just got to.
Yermin Mercedes is still good.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He has not yet hit the point where he can't hit a curveball, or at least I think people are still trying to challenge him.
Yeah.
they're not like, fuck this, I'm throwing bullshit.
Yeah.
If he's gonna get a hit off me, he's gonna have to hit it like a golf swing. You know, that's what he's gonna have to do. I'm throwing the shit at his ankles, right? That's where I'm throwing it. He's gonna have to hit it like as a 4-iron or whatever the shit, like something. Like he's gonna have to take a putt to hit a pitch I'm throwing him, because I ain't throwing him a fastball. I ain't throwing him anything belt high, not a chance. Nope.
What if he turns out to be just like Vlad Sr. and you throw it at his ankles and he hits it a home run?
Sure, then that's it. You got me, right? You got me then, man. Look, I'll take it. Yeah. You hit a home run off me when I'm throwing it down there, that's fine. But everything I throw you is designed for you to bounce it to the first baseman. That's what's gonna happen. right? I am not throwing you anything where I'm just going to try to overpower you, because clearly you can't. People don't overpower you, right? Like, right. He's a massive human being who has a quick twitch swing. It's not a big lumbering Sean Green swing, right? It's not that. He doesn't have a strike zone that's 7 feet high like Sean Green, right? His strike zone is like everybody else's strike zone, and the bat gets through it quick. So I'm not throwing in fastball. Screw that. Nope. I'm gonna be in the sauna before the game to be really warm, to be as warm as I can possibly be. I'm wearing compression clothing. I got like heating pads in my socks. Everything. I'm gonna be as warm as I can be, and I'm gonna throw you just breaking pitch after breaking pitch after moving pitch after moving pitch. You ain't getting shit straight. Nope, not at all.
Maybe that's what Sabathia was doing when he was hitting in Cleveland.
Yeah, like that's what I would do for guys like that. No, I will work out all my challenging bullshit on, like, you know, Nick Madrigal or like Lurie Garcia, some shit like that. Somebody who ain't making an all-star team and ain't about to be player of the week off me. Yeah. Nope. I will not be a trivia question. I don't give a shit. That's my attitude about it. My teammates be like, go get that guy. I'd be like, you go get that guy. Yeah, you see what he's been doing? This fucking Sherman tank with a bat in his hands. Hell no. No, my top speed is 92. You out your damn mind if you think I'm gonna go up there, like, throw my elbow out against a guy like this who was proven he can hit anything like this. Nope.
And then they're like, well, it's okay, we'll just move the mound.
Yeah, am I right? Am I the ace? I'm not the ace. It's the ace's job to go get that guy. Screw you. I'm the fifth starter or like middle relief dude. Oh, hell no. I'm gonna throw at his hands and at his ankles, but I am not throwing anything in nope. Middle in my ass. I'm going half of middle in and absolutely down. That's what I'm doing.
I hope a scout for the Minnesota Twins is listening to this and they're about to come and recruit you. Relief for them. So
I think a lot of these pitchers get in these situations because their egos are involved, right? I can get this guy. Well, okay. I would like to note that I've seen this guy destroy like any number of people over the past 21 games, and I would like to not be destroyed. So if it means that I'm gonna make him screw himself into the dirt swinging at pitches I throw, I'm gonna channel my inner Jamie Moyer is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make 60 miles an hour look like 100 miles an hour over and over and over again. You know?
If I could do that, I could probably pitch.
Yeah, he's not hitting home runs off me. Because it's just demoralizing, man. Like if he can do that to the best pitchers, because right now he's not proving he can't do it against somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he's doing it because they're like, ha, hit this, and okay, I'm gonna. Nope. Yermin Mercedes has been doing so well. Andrew Vaughan, who before this season was the presumed designated hitter for this team, also a rookie. Andrew Vaughan has not had a good year.
Yeah.
And Andrew Vaughan was the guaranteed can't miss hitter prospect.
Yeah.
Yermin Mercedes is so good. He's demoralizing pitchers, and I believe he's demoralized his own teammate.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he came into those first few games when he hit eight in a row, right?
Yes.
8 plate appearances, 8 hits, some of them pretty massive.
Yeah.
Right. And it got me thinking because I was watching that game because I love Jason Benetti and Steve Stone. They make it interesting too. They really
Steve Stone's fantastic. Yeah.
They really get you into the game. And that's just a point for those who are looking for marketing tips. Those guys get you in there. But the first game where Yermin Mercedes was on the team because Eloy Jimenez went down, Andrew Vaughan is there. They have prepped so much for Andrew Vaughan. That night was going to be the Andrew Vaughan story, right? And it wasn't. It was the Yermin Mercedes story. Yep. And it reminded me of the time, I think I told you about this before, when everybody was like, you have to watch this game because this guy Daisuke Matsuzaka, man, he's going to start. And they had all this stuff prepped on him. And Felix Hernandez showed up and took over the whole night. He took the night away from everybody.
Nobody was talking about Felix Hernandez.
No, not at all.
And Felix came and lit it up.
because it was just, I mean, you couldn't even see Dice K because King Felix was there. I mean, there was nothing else to look at.
Legion of Fan, here's how good Felix Hernandez, we talk about Trevor Bauer. Felix Hernandez was Trevor Bauer, but nicer.
Yeah.
You know, unhittable.
Yeah.
And knew he was unhittable.
Yeah.
And he'd be a household name if he played in LA, but he played in Seattle.
Right.
You know, like everybody would know who he was.
Right.
You know, if he played in LA or New York.
Everybody would know, yeah. Well, I'm sure Boston knew for a long time. He showed up and showed them that they're you know whatever. I mean, remember, the Red Sox paid like $50 million for the right to talk to Dice K.
Yes, they did.
And they were like, "He's got 20 pitches, you know, and all of this, you got to see him." And I'm like, "Okay, I got to see him. Okay, I'm turning this game on. I got to see him." And I saw King Felix instead.
Yeah, King Felix was like, "They forgot me."
Yeah, they forgot me. Well, I'm not going to let him. You know, he just took over that night. He stole everybody's thunder. That night was his. And of course, nobody was prepared to talk about him because everybody prepared, you know, all the media to talk about Dice.
Yeah.
And I will. I mean, I'm not blaming Jason Benetti and Steve Stone. You got to prepare for your shows.
Yes.
And it was Andrew Vaughn's big night, and they prepared for it. But then what they did overnight was prepare for Yermin Mercedes' second game with the White Sox. And they were ready and they brought it. We knew all about Mercedes after that. And it was great. It was just great. But I hope that didn't pull the rug out from under Andrew Vaughn.
I think with Andrew Vaughn, it's got to be like when they call your name, get in the game, do something, get a hit.
Yeah.
You know?
That has to be your mentality.
You don't have to be Yermin Mercedes, whose batting average is 433.
and it's only going to get hot.
That might have been like over like a certain period of time, because they also said he had 4 home runs, and I know he has more than 4 home runs. So it might be this week, either this week or last 10 days, he might be 433 or 4 home runs and 15 RBI. So still hot. Yeah,
still very, very hot. He's the story. So why do we wrap on Yermin? Because we love him.
Yeah, man.
All right. We talked about a lot of players we love.
We did.
Yeah. All right then. So that's it, Legion of Fans, for episode. I think. Well, I haven't counted them properly.
Probably 23, maybe.
Let's just say these 23, with like 24 to come, like in the queue.
Yeah.
So I don't. Not sure, but hey, we're happening, and we're so glad you're still with us, and we're only going to get better. And just like these generations of baseball players, we're going to get better too, and so are you. And the way that we do that,
Yermin Mercedes just struck out on a curveball outside corner of the plate, low and outside. He's damn right, not throwing everything fast. Somebody figured the thing out.
Yeah, update, momentary update. Okay, but you know, hey, turn into the love.
Yep. Turn into the love, everybody.
Turn into the love, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.